A Kuwait oil tanker was the latest target in the fight over the Strait of Hormuz. Iran hit the loaded crude oil tanker off Dubai, setting it on fire. President Trump has threatened to strike Iran's energy plants if the strait is not reopened. Though the president also suggested in a Truth Social post that he could abandon that effort and leave it to the allies. He then clarified his position in a CBS News interview. Let's bring in CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro. Aaron, is the Strait of Hormuz still a priority for the president at this point?
It seems that it is decreasing as a priority, as both President Trump in this post and interview with Wei Zhang earlier today, as well as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, have suggested a path of ending this conflict in Iran without the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, even though this comes just days after President Trump announced that the April 6th deadline for Iran to reopen the strait before the U.S. attacks its energy sector. This morning, as you mentioned, the president ramped up his criticisms of NATO and European allies for not doing enough militarily with their own naval assets to reopen the strait. He suggested that they should just take the strait themselves and said they have to start learning how to fight for themselves, and the U.S. won't be there to help them anymore. And then in an interview with our own colleague Wei Zhang, the president said if European allies want oil from the Strait of Hormuz, that crucial choke point for at least 20% of the global oil supply, they can, quote, come up and grab it. He said Iran poses no threat to these countries on the strait now because the country has been decimated by U.S.-Israeli attacks, that we do know they have underwater mines in the strait. And still, even if the strait is a lesser priority, the main goal of preventing Iran from developing a nuclear weapon remains for this administration. And the president told Wei he is not quite ready yet to take U.S. assets out of the region. He said while there's not much that has to be done between now and when he declares victory, he said, quote, we want to clean up some ends.
And Aaron, we have some developing news coming out of Iraq, where the foreign minister says an American journalist has been kidnapped. What do you know?
This is an American freelance journalist, Shelley Kittleson, who had been kidnapped in Baghdad. Kittleson was a freelance journalist for a Middle East-focused news outlet, Al Monitor. Her emergency contact, the CNN national security analyst, told CBS News that Kittleson had been warned by the U.S. government about a threat to her from the Iran-backed terrorist group Kataib Hezbollah, which had been looking to kidnap or kill female journalists. In response, the Assistant Secretary of State for Global Affairs, Dylan Johnson, said the State Department is aware of the reported killing. He notes that they had warned Kittleson of these threats against them and said that they are working with the FBI to ensure her release as quickly as possible. You're seeing his full statement there. Both him and Iraqi authorities have said one suspect has been taken into custody by Iraqi authorities. And Johnson adds that Iraq remains at the level 4 travel advisory and that Americans are not advised to travel to the country for any reason.
Aaron, thanks so much for that update.